What is up, Preston Outdoors fans? We are coming back to you guys wherever you find yourself watching this video. This is practice number 1 for tournament number, I think this is 5 already. 5th tournament of the year. We are on Lake Minnewaska, however you say that. So we are out here. Never been to this lake before. I don't think I've even been down in this area ever before in my life. Particularly going to be focusing on smallmouth again. Hopefully we can find them. I've done a little scanning and stuff already just to kind of get used to the lake. Got a little bit of information from some people that have been down here. And we got about 7-8 good spots that we just need to find where the fish are at. If they're shallow, if they're deep, if they're on rocks, if there's some late bed spawners or they're around weeds. I don't know what's gonna happen. So scanning, looking for stuff. I already marked a few big boulders, some weed lines, stuff like that. It's gonna be a totally different way than I'm used to fishing smallmouth, you know, after the spawn kind of thing. I've never really done it before, so it'll be interesting and be good for my fishing skills. Day number 1. See what we can find. So we've been driving for a little bit here, and we're driving to another part to scan. But this is how you do it, man. You scan with your side imaging, look at your map, also look at your down imaging to know where you're going, what kind of bottom content there is, and then you get yourself a can of tuna, a knife. I don't know how that's gonna work. Hold that up, keep watching the side imaging. Lunch on the water, baby. Tuna, peanut butter sandwiches, and some cheap fruit. That's kind of the diet of the traveling fisherman. Oh, and bologna. I love bologna. Alright guys, well, it's been about, I don't know, 4 or 5 hours since I last gave you an update here. And basically all I've done is driving around what I think would be like a spawning flat. I've got some help from some people. They gave me some tips and stuff about where to start on this lake, so I really appreciate the help from them. But probably, like I said, fishing smallmouth, and they're done spawning for the most part, or at least the bigger ones are. Water temperature is almost 72 degrees, and what I've done is kind of find a spot where I think, or some of the guys that have fished this lake before say that they spawn at. And what I've done is I've driven around the spawning flat, kind of where the first contour lines are really steep, and I have marked weed edges and clumps of weeds. And what I'm going to do right now is not necessarily try and catch fish, but try and figure out what kind of weeds I'm dealing with. So I got a 1/2 ounce jig here, you know, brown like a crayfish. And then I got a crankbait here, to where I'm going to crank around these, what I got them marked on this depth finder here, go up front, look at these marks, and crank right through the middle of it, drag a jig right through the middle of it, see what kind of weeds I'm dealing with. Hopefully they're good clumps of weeds. And then not necessarily really worried about catching fish. Tomorrow I'll fish more. Today I just want to see if I'm actually, you know, looking and marking the right stuff on the depth finder. So we'll see what kind of weeds we get. So what I'm doing right now is actually driving over to a bigger pile. All these are, that's a clump, 2 or 3 clumps here, about 4 clumps here, you know, bigger clumps here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to drive over to a couple of the bigger clumps. I'm going to throw that that jig through there. I'm going to throw that crankbait through there. And what I'm going to look for is color of weeds. If they're really bright, you know, bright colored weeds, it's good healthy vegetation down there. And then to see what kind, if I'm dealing with milfoil, coontail, you know, any different kind, cabbage, any different kind of weeds, so I can kind of know what's going on. So that way I can maybe make a little deal of what kind of weed clumps I'm fishing here, and then figure out tomorrow when I start catching fish, hopefully, to figure out what sort of weed vegetation the fish are hanging around. not what I'm looking for. But there's fish. It's on my second cast. That pike throttled it. That crank is deep in his mouth. Look at that. Well, there's fish sitting next to the weeds. Now we gotta look for a bass. Got another fish. No head shakes. Never mind. Well, it wasn't a fish, but I thought it was. Hit like a fish, but this is kind of what I'm looking for here. Look at that. Really bright green vegetation, and I'm pretty sure this is like coon's tail, which is, you know, kind of what I want to know what I'm looking at here. Get that out of there. Yeah, I hit that patch really good, and I thought it was a fish, like that pike. That pike fought just like that. It got bit, and then no head shakes all the way in. But yeah, so I'm basically looking at these patches right now. There's about 3 or 4 of them to my left, and I'm looking to see what kind of vegetation I'm dealing with here. Then later on, like tomorrow, like I said, when I'm going to sit and fish these spots, I'll throw a jig, drop shot, swim jig, something like that around there to see if there's any bass around it. Hey, hey! We caught a bass. Hoping for smallmouth and big ones, but fishing with new lake, something different, fishing weed beds. Feels good to get bit anyway. Set the hook. Nice little pound, 2-pound largemouth. Through just on the inside, there's a deeper weed edge out here that I scanned and found the deep side of the weed edge, and I decided to see what kind of weeds are out deeper, because I know it's coontail shallower. See maybe if it's a different kind of weed, different species of weeds. But there's a nice little largemouth. We're getting bit. Not the species we're supposed to be catching, and we're not really targeting fish, but it's always nice to get bit, that's for sure. That's what we're looking for right there. Well, decided we checked some more weed spots. Still all coontail. Ouch. Still all, ow. Easy, buddy. Still all coontail. Okay. And then we came over to some rocks, throw that big crankbait around. Look at that. Skinny, skinny. Smallmouth. Now look at this. See this hole right there? That fish has been weighed in a tournament before, probably before she got all spawned out, but finally got the brown fish next to some rocks. So that might be a little thing we try out more tomorrow, but I just want to come over here and check them out a little bit with the crankbait, and it was like my second cast, and bit it right next to the boat. So mwah. Next cast. What is it? Oh, it's a largie. By the rocks. Look at that. Camera turn. There's another nice largemouth. It's like 3 casts later. Moved in a little bit closer. I don't know if it's the time of day or what, but it's another nice fish on this Berkeley Dredger crankbait. Could be that they're moving up here to feed because it's about 8 o'clock, but I don't know. This thing dives. It says 14.5 feet, and the rocks are only about 3-4 feet, so I'm just barely slow rolling it through, and it's the third fish, about 15 minutes. Looks like another green one. I've seen another one come in with them, but it must not have. Another largemouth. How would we be getting more smallies here? Largemouth. There was a little smallmouth and another largemouth that came in with them. Maybe I could drop the hair jig down, but there's another one. And another one. Oh, that's a hefty one right there. 3-pounder easy. That one had another one following them. Well, I think that's where we're gonna end day number 1 here. Like I said, we did a lot of scanning today, trying to find some deeper stuff. Tomorrow we're gonna do more fishing. I didn't even expect to do this much fishing today, but got about, I don't know, 12 pounds, 13 pounds off the rocks, and that was, you know, something I didn't really think about fishing until this evening. I was like, well, I was close by checking another patch of weeds. I said I'll run over there and just see what's up, and like a first cast caught that smallmouth by the boat there. So who knows? Tomorrow's gonna be a new day. We're gonna get up early. Calling a little quits early. I meant to get out of here, like be off the lake by 8, but it's 8:30 right now because we are going to set up a tent and camp out tonight. It'll be pretty fun. Got a campsite and a hookup for the boat and the batteries and stuff, but I don't really want to be setting up the tent in the dark, and it's supposed to get, you know, dark in about an hour or so with the mosquitoes and everything. So but this is where we're gonna end today, and I'll see you guys tomorrow morning. Morning, guys. Day number 2 here on Lake Minnewaska. Just got out of the tent, tenting up here. We got some rain last night. It's kind of cold out, as you can tell. Boat, it's kind of got some water in it. It wasn't like that until I just played around with the cover a little bit. But yeah, we're gonna get the water out of the boat, get the boat rigged up. I'll probably rig different tackle and stuff once I get to the lake. It'll just be easier and a little bit warmer. We're in the shade here, and it's kind of chilly, and there's rain falling off the trees and mosquitoes in here. So we'll do that and make some breakfast. We are on the water. Breakfast is down. We're gonna run all the way to the, I think that's west side of the lake, where we started yesterday, and we're gonna fish today. We're gonna fish all the patches that we found, see if we can get something going, and then we're gonna try and fish as many docks and stuff as we can today. Today's gonna be a big day of fishing, but not slow and being too slow fishing that we waste a bunch of time. So it's gonna be throw tube jigs, crankbaits, hair jig maybe a little bit. We'll see what happens, see what the fish tell us. All right, let's get there. little largemouth. Supposed to be trying to find smallmouth. It's like the largemouth just love me too much. Not a smallie. Get bigger largemouth though. That could come into play, maybe. Always seems like it happens. Cobra went dead. Look at this fat one. Fat largemouth. About 2-3 pounder. Underneath some docks. Little brown fish. Here we go. Brownie, so feisty. Oh man. Get that dock again with that jig. It's about 2 docks later. Catch some fish. It's always cool to catch a brownie underneath the dock. Don't get to do it much. Put it back. Well, another thing that's crappy about not staying at somebody's house is having good electrical hookups. So all my GoPro batteries went dead. I can't remember the last thing I mentioned to you guys, but what I did is end up running around, scanned a bunch more, finding weed edges and stuff. Went to some bulrushes because I wasn't getting anything out deep with a Carolina rig, a worm, anything like that. Wasn't getting anything. Went to some bulrushes, threw a jig around, and caught some fish on that, marked some bulrush patches that are pretty good. And then I ran over to a different spot where there's a good weed line on the part of the lake. And what I ended up doing then was throw, the tail's bitten off already, but this is a 10-inch Berkeley Gulp power worm. I think it's green pumpkin motor oil, red flake or something like that. And this is a little Swagger Tackle tungsten worm weight here. And this is a 5/0 worm hook. But all I was doing is I had marked the weed edges yesterday, and there's big, huge colonies of bluegill beds around just on the inside or the outside of the weeds. And what I did was I took maybe 10 casts with this thing over there, and I caught 3 nice largemouth. And so I just ended up leaving to leave that area for the tournament, and then I went and scanned a bunch of areas, another area for a weed edge, a solid weed edge with bluegill beds around it as well. So this is going to be something that I'm going to probably end up pre-fishing a little bit on Friday or tomorrow, one of the two. Probably Friday, because I need to get down to Green Lake and start practicing down there. But this, I think, I probably don't even have to go throw a worm around that area. If it's producing and there's deeper fish off spawning flats like those two, I probably don't even have to go pre-fish that area. It's just going to depend on the weather and throwing this in front of a fish. But they bit it pretty hard. I just let them take it because that's a big worm, 10-inch power worm. But so this is where we're going to end day 2. I'm sorry about, you guys saw a lot of catches. You missed a few of them, but it's the crappy thing about tenting out with a weak ampage power box. It charged the boat good, but it didn't hardly put out any ampage to charge the battery. So the ones I did have charged just went dead today, and I'm surprised this one's even hanging as long as it is, because I had a mobile power bank that I charged the batteries with in the boat, and it took like 3 hours just to charge one battery, and this thing's not even half full. So, but that's where we're going to end practice. That's probably where we're going to end the practice video. Like I said, I might get another day in, but I probably won't. I got some sort of a little pattern figured out here. So then it's on to Green Lake. So after this video, you guys will be seeing the tournament video. Jesse, my partner from the last video, last two actually got moved to active duty. So he's in the Army, so he'll be shipping out here next week or something like that. So my dad graciously enough is going to help me fish these next 2 tournaments. So should be a lot of fun. So I want to thank you guys for watching. I know a lot of you guys are liking these practice videos. I don't show much of the scanning and stuff because it's just me sitting in the boat looking at the depth finder. But what I do like to tell you is what I'm looking for. In the last few tournaments, we were looking for rocks. This week, or at least the last couple days, we were looking for weed edges, and then attacking them with some different baits. So I want to thank you guys for watching. Tune in next time. Hope you enjoy these videos, and thanks for watching Preston Outdoors.